Hello everyone, welcome to JavaExpert. In today's video, we'll discuss about Spring Dependency Injection. So most of us already heard this feature, this dependency injection. But many of them or many of us is not exactly sure what is the purpose and why we need this dependency injection. So we will see this today. So first, what is Spring Dependency Injection? Dependency injection is the fundamental feature of Spring framework, which helps to inject the dependent object by Spring container. Dependency injection allows to implement the loosely coupled components and moves the responsibility of managing object onto the container. Most of us know that dependency injections help to implement the loosely coupled components. But if you ask them how this is being implemented practically, most of us is not exactly sure how this is being implemented actually. So in today's practical sessions, we will see how this is being implemented practically. Okay. Quickly we'll create a simple Spring Boot project. So we'll create a Spring Boot project here. Uh, Dependencies will add Spring Boot. We'll just wait few minutes. Let's project is getting created. Okay, so project is getting created. So we'll do small changes because when I was creating, I created with Spring Boot version 3. So we'll use 2.6.4 because I don't have Java 17 installed in my local. If you want to use Spring version 3, and this minimum requirement is to have Java 17. So since I'm not having 17, so I am changing to Spring 2x version. We'll do Maven project update. Okay, I think the project is ready now. Okay, the project is ready. So first, what we are going to do is we'll create some controller service, and we will implement how traditionally we used to implement it, and we will use the dependency injection, and we will see the difference, so that you can understand how this loosely coupled components are is being built with the help of dependency injections. Okay, I'll just quickly create few packages. I'll create on controller. And we need a service, so and service implementation package also. So first what we can do is we will create our own service interface, because dependency injection and loosely coupled components can be built with the help of interface only. So interface is the important thing which will help to create our loosely coupled components. So if you want to implement loosely coupled components, and then you have to use interfaces. So we'll create an interface. For example, order service. This is the interface we have, right? So we will implement here. So we'll create a class to implement the order service. So order service partner 1 IMPL. Okay, so I created a concrete class which is order service partner 1 implement IMPL. So whenever you're defining any interface, which means is a specifications, there won't be any implementation for that. So that interface will have only the spec. So we may have a many implementation for that, right? So one of the implementation going to be for us is order service partner one implementation. That's our concrete class. Then order service will put some abstract methods, public thing, get order. So these things are well, that how the interface and this spec will be there. So I'm not explaining much on that. So implementation, when you're going for implementation, we have to implement that implements or a service, right? So what we can do is, so just return a string order service partner one implementation. Okay, so this is what I'm going to return it. So this is how our normal things will be there, right? We don't have any service, foundation, all those things. So this is how it's going to be. Uh, this is our interface. I'll just create one controller. Order controller. We'll create like get order. So this is going to be get mapping getter, right? Now, if we don't have dependency injection, how we will call the service? So to call the service, we have to create like this public order service. This is our interface reference, and implementation will be like will create like this order service equal to new order service partner one implementation, right? So this is how we'll create the object in Java, right? So now from here we will use that object to call that method order service dot get order, right? So this is going to be our REST controller. So we'll just quickly test this one. We don't implement any dependency injection here. This is a traditional way of creating the object and use that. So that's what we did here. So let's start the application now. So we're starting the applications. I don't set any properties. So service will start by default 8080 port. We'll go to Postman. We'll go to Postman and this is the endpoint, right? HTTP localhost 8080 get order. Regarding the request, I got the response here. Order service partner one implementations, we got it, right? So service is working in the traditional way we have implemented it. Now we'll see the problem. What is the problem here? For example, order services interface. This is the implementation. So when we want to use this one order service, here we are mentioning the concrete class name. Order service partner one implement. So this is the way we can create the object, right? Without the class name, we can't create object. We use no, we can give a reference as an interface, but after the new keyword, new operator, we need a class name to be mentioned, right? So the problem is, instead of this implementation, because as you said, for one specific interface, we may have multiple implementations. So if you want a new implementation or other implementation to be used in your area, in your functionality, in your component, you have to change this one, right? Because there is no other way to create an object of new implementation. So which means this is getting tightly coupled with other components. So To mitigate or to overcome this problem, in Spring framework, we have a dependency injection. So how that is being actually help us. So order service one partner one implementation here we have, right? So here we'll put a service annotation here. What this will do is service. So Spring container will create an object for us. So which means when starting the service itself, when you bring the server up, this object will be created for us. In the order controller, this class, you no need to mention this one. This class name is not required to be mentioned. Instead of that, we have to use auto add. So what this will do is when you bring up the services, uh, you know, the Spring controller will have the object. It will look for the object, the type of order service. Because in the starting itself, this object will be created for us. Yeah, this is our partner one implementation, which implements order service. So what we are looking for is here we are looking for an object with a type of order service. This is already created here. So that object will be automatically injected here. Which means by now we are not mentioning the class name here, but still we are getting the object here. We will try this one, whether it's working or not first. Run as Java application. Services up. Let's go. To the postman, I'm triggering the same request. Yes, still I'm getting the response, which means it's working. Without mentioning the class name, we got the response. Okay, fine. Now we'll have a one more implementation. For example, now we have one and a partner implementation, right? We'll do partner two implementation here. Order service, partner two, IAM here. Right. So this is also implements order service. So here we'll mention order service partner to implement, right? Okay, so just to demonstrate, we are everything creating in the same project, but in real time it will be in a different components. Level two different components we may have. We will be giving the other component as a dependency of this project, so that those objects also will be implemented for us. Okay, in this case, partner one implementation will have a separate component. Partner two implementation will have a separate component. So we may have to, both component may be in our dependency, so which needs to be implemented. That's also we will see it here, right? So normally, if you want to change one partner implementation to another partner implementations, we will remove that dependency, the partner one dependency from our POM, and then we'll add a partner two implementation in our POM file, right? So when you bring up the service, automatically whatever is there in the POM dependency, those objects will be created and will be injected, right? So for example, here we'll make it as here service. Now what you're doing is just to imagine that we are adding a partner two implementation in our dependency and removing partner one implementation. Just will in partner implementation just comment this one, right? So what I did is we have removed partner one implementation and we are having only partner two implementation here. We are not going to touch anything at the controller layer. See here, I changed the implementation, but I didn't touch anything on the controller. Now we'll bring up the service. Stop everything first. I'm bringing up the services now. Yeah, it's started. Let's go to Postman, triggering the request. See, I'm getting the response from the implementation to order service partner to implementation, right? So this is how the loosely coupling of components is getting implemented using the dependency injection, right? What we did is we create an interface. So interface is playing the vital role here. So without the interface, we can't implement loosely coupling, in Java. So what we did is we created an interface and we have an implementation for that. We have two implementations. One is partner one implementation and partner two implementation. So which one we want to inject it to our controller? So in practical, we'll have two different components. So those dependency will be in our POM file. And if you want to implement the partner one implementation, that dependency needs to be put it in our POM.xml. If you want to partner two, remove the partner one dependency and put partner two implementation here. So to demonstrate you, I just created two different classes in the service layer. So first we put partner one and we created a partner two implementation. So we removed the partner one. So when we say remove means we just commented the service, means we don't create. If we comment the service container, which means container will not create object for this one. So whatever the object is being created in the container for this order service type, that will be implemented in our controller, right? So there may be a cases where, for example, we have both the things, both implementation we have. Now what Spring container will do? We'll just bring up the service as it is. We'll see what is we are getting it, right? What we're doing is we have an interface. We have two implementation for that, and we're trying to auto wire in order controller here. Now we'll see what we're getting it. So these things are going to be the one of the important interview questions. Most of the time, these questions will be asked in the interview because it's a very basic for this Spring. We want to understand the basic of Spring framework. These errors should have gone through. See, we are getting this error. Field order service. This is required as single bean, but two were found because we have two implementations. So two implementations are there, but Spring Spring container doesn't know which implementation needs to be injected in the controller class. So that's a problem, right? So for that, is giving the action. We have multiple options. We can use a primary or a qualifier to identify the bean. Apart from this, we can do one more thing also. So for example, if we don't want to mention that, if you have a option to touch your controller, for example, so our ultimate aim is not touch the controller, but for example, if you can, what you can do is here we can mention the class name as a reference. For example, order service partner one implementation, right? I'll give the same name here. Order service partner one IMPL, right? So this is a simple variable name one, right? But if we are giving that class name, exact class name as a variable name here, automatically Spring container what will do is it will match with this name. So here also we have order service partner one implementation and the variable name also we give the same. So this partner one implementation will be injected here. I'll show you here. I'll bring up the services now. We are bringing up the services now here. Started. Let's go on trigger. Yes, order service one implements. That's the response we're getting it, right? So with this name also, we can specify which implementation needs to be injected here. But anyway, this is not a recommended one because anyway we are. This is also tightly coupled with the class name because we are the class name only we are giving it here. Okay, so but this case might happen in practical because it's not required to have both implementation in our container in Spring container. So if you want to implement both the things, it means both object will be created in the container, and it will be Spring will not know which implementation needs to be injected. So ultimately, what implementation you want to be injected or want to be used in your component, only those dependencies you have to mention in the POM.xml, right? So other than that, what is other options we have is, for example, if the both the components is within your organization or your organization only implementing both components, right? So in such cases, so they can mention which is the primary component. For example, we may have two implementations for the other service, but you can mention what is the primary for. But means even though it is creating multiple objects in the container, which is the primary one needs to be injected, that you can mention it. So for example, here we'll already with the name you tried partner one implementation, right? Now we'll take a partner to implementation, for example. So this is the primary for that. So which means even though partner one implementation also created in the container, the partner two implementation only needs to be injected. So here we can give an annotation called primary, right? So now we have a partner two implementation with the primary and partner one implementation as a only service. We're not mentioning the primary annotations here. In controller, we don't mention the class name anywhere. It's just simple order service. So, right now we'll see what has happened. We are bringing up the services now. We'll see. So, service is created. Let's go to Postman, trigger the request. We are getting order service partner to implementation, right? Because that's the primary implementations we have been mentioned here, right? So, I guess so that's all about this video. I hope you understand how this dependency injection is getting used in practical way. It is not exactly practical component, but I just want to demonstrate you how this different implementations is getting injected using dependency injections and how you want to be implemented in the actual production scenarios, right? The actual production scenarios, this implementation will be a different component altogether. Those dependency will be mentioning in the pom.xml. So we may have a variety of implementations for a same interface which you want to be implemented or injected. Those dependency alone you can put it in pom.xml, and the component which you are developing it, you no need to touch to change the implementations because it is the class name you are nowhere mentioning in your component. So this is how this dependency injections help us to develop the loosely coupled components. So I hope you guys enjoying this video. So put your thoughts in your comment section and subscribe to our channel, and I'll post uh, interesting videos in upcoming days. Thank you guys.